to a live happy hour edition of That Recap Show. Now, today's going to be a little bit different. Normally, here is the point where I say, no spoiler alert, because, we're going over things that, don't have to be spoiled. But this time there is some sort of spoiler alert because half of our show is going to be playing a little bit of catch up on the Bad Batch series that we've sadly missed a couple episodes because I was traveling and then Mandalorian started. There's just a million things. So spoiler alert for episodes 10, 11, 12 of the Bad Batch. So if you haven't checked those episodes out yet, you may want to pause our live video and head over to Disney Plus, check out those videos, come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down the past episodes of the Bad Batch that we've missed. Plus, we're going to sprinkle in some brand new movie news in there. It's Jon Jon Rico.
Hey.
Hello.
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 Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello.
We got to start this way. Cheers. Yeah, I know what you're cheersing me with. Cheers.
Cheers to hydration.
Cheers to everyone out there who is starting their weekend.
Yes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, happy weekend. Hopefully, you have some fun planned. It is shitty weather in both places that we are at right now.
Yes, I love the rain.
And it was shitty weather when we were at the same place.
True. I love the rain. It does make things infinitely harder.
Yeah, I don't mind the rain if I don't have to go anywhere. Like if everything I'm doing is inside, cool. I'm fine with that. But walking around, like walking to the bars when we were celebrating Pete's birthday and stuff like that, and it was like starting to rain, and then walking back and it was starting to rain. It was just like, I'm tired of being
At one point,
wet.
I walked outside to get food in my socks, and I forgot it was wet outside.
When we were at Pete's house.
Yeah, it was bad. I was like, my socks. Yeah.
My socks.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
But anyway, yeah. So LA trip happened.
It happened.
Came and went. It went by so fast.
Yeah.
Holy
That's
crap.
happened. A lot has happened since too.
Yeah, everything has happened. But like I was explaining, in the meantime, we did miss a few episodes of the Bad Batch, and we thought, we were trying to figure out what's the best way you can do this. Are we going to be like super behind with Bad Batch, or should we, do a live recap for Bad Batch? Like, there's so many things we need to get to. We got to get to Last of Us. We've got to get to, we're keeping up with Mandalorian. We've got Ant-Man we still want to do. There's so many things, and we're about to collide with new things coming up soon. So we just figured this would be the best way to do that. So if you've missed some of our Bad Batch recap, you're in luck because we're going to be recapping 3 episodes, 10, 11, 12, all the way up to the most recent. And then we'll be back on track and we can, do our pre-taped recaps. So this one will be a little bit sloppy.
A little bit. Also, thank God, also kind of sad, but The Last of Us is also ending this weekend. So that'll also take a little bit of the load off our backs as far as catching up on content. Because we still have a couple of episodes of that to recap as well.
It's ending this weekend?
Yeah, episode 9 is this weekend.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Lots been going on.
Holy
I think we're about to hit a tiny lull before, Mario comes out and then we have another little break and then some other stuff's going to start coming out in May. Of course, the summer's going to start. But yeah, it's so right now it's just everything just started to pile on with Mando and then Bad Batch. Everything that we talk about is happening at once. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, even if we have a lull and we are looking for things to do, we're gonna start those retro recaps that we were talking about, and maybe find a series that maybe we'll get you guys out there to. We'll do like a Twitter poll or something like that, and we can put out like 3 or 4 series that we never got a chance to, follow along with, and we can do a season of one of those.
Right.
If we have a lull. Anyway, so how do you want to do this? You want to do the Bad Batch stuff together first? Do you want to do the movie news, like just a snapshot of movie news? I know there's a ton of stuff that just came out towards the end of this week, but we're kind of staying away from that, and we're more just kind of tiptoeing around stuff because the meat of this live is going to be catching up on the Bad Batch episodes. So we just kind of really threw in a couple of stories that we were really excited about.
Right.
To talk about. Do you want to do those first, and then we'll do?
Yeah, let's get to those stories first for sure.
Okay. You want to kick us off with? You don't have to go in order, by the way, because I don't have the right JPEG sets. So,
right.
Do you want to?
No, let's. I'm just gonna go from top to bottom here. But this was a pretty big one, of course. Something people kind of long suspected, but officially confirmed within the last week or so, is that Jon Bernthal is officially returning as the Punisher in Daredevil Born Again. Which, I mean, how can you obviously pick a better casting for a character than Jon Bernthal after his performance in the Netflix show and of course Daredevil season 2? Yeah, and of course he put out an awesome TikTok of him about to do his podcast with the theme song of the show. It's like Frank's back. I was like, dude, let's go, dude. Like, I'm really glad to see this iteration of the character make its way into the MCU. Curious to see what kind of liberties we taken with the character compared to the Netflix version. I know Bernthal's always said like if he wouldn't do it if it wasn't going to be the same kind of Frank. But obviously there's a way you can still do it without having to be needlessly brutal, I guess is the word. But he is a character that does fit that mold. Like, they have like those like kind of Marvel Max, I think they called them, where the comic series that were like a little bit more gory style of Marvel characters like Wolverine and Punisher. So like there are characters that lend itself to that kind of storytelling. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what kind of role he plays into this show in general. Of course, if it's gonna play off of the old show's story in any kind of way, and I'm still not sure of that part yet. But I'm very curious to see what this whole series is gonna like, take from the old and make it into the new.
Yeah, and I am very curious about that too. I think there's a really, I mean, with Kevin Feige being so adamant that Deadpool is going to be rated R, I don't think they're really going to have a problem with keeping true to some of these Netflix characters. I really think people are starting to worry before we've really been introduced, because I mean, so far all we've had is kind of a glimpse at Kingpin and a glimpse at Daredevil, and I don't consider Daredevil's to really even be a fair representation because it was in a comedic show. So
I wouldn't even consider Fix's interpretation to be a fair interpretation of what we saw.
Right, exactly. But we've gotten criticism every single time about this, or every appearance, I guess. So far we've had that, and so I just, I think we're gonna have these characters move closer to kind of how we remember them. Obviously, they're not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be, it's going to be a different situation. It's going to be a different series.
That'd be less grounded in reality because the old show was kind of that. It was like if you took the Nolan Batman films and turned it into a Daredevil TV show, that's the kind of like the grounded reality take. You got to kind of up the fantastical stakes in this because it's the MCU, right? Like we saw Daredevil's power set, like his acrobatic abilities. I think those are the little things, but as far as Frank goes, is it going to be like his weapon arsenal? Like, what's going to be like the little MCU, the MCU power up they're going to give him? You know what I mean? Like, how are they going to amplify how he's portrayed on the show compared to what we saw in the Netflix shows?
Yeah. The other rumor, the recent rumor, is now that we're going to be getting Jessica Jones in Daredevil Born Again. Also, that just started.
At this point, you're setting up all these beloved Netflix characters come back, right? Although I did hear that Foggy and Karen Page aren't coming back, which was a big bummer to hear. At least Foggy's not coming back.
I mean, that was, I saw that too. And I know how things go. Like, I didn't actually read an article. I saw, obviously, a bunch of people reacting on TikTok. But, so, I mean, I need to be brought up to speed. From what I understood, it wasn't that we got a confirmation that they weren't going to be in it. Is that it was just silent about them being in it or not. And because we
just seems weird that you would keep quiet on those two and you wouldn't keep quiet on someone like Frank, because Like those are main supporting characters of Daredevil. Like if Foggy at the very least should be a shoo-in.
Yeah.
Because it's Nelson and Murdoch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my own thing.
Mm. I'm just what I'm saying is I don't know. I don't know if it's been completely, and I could be told wrong
The
because I just
door's
have
not shut.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I'm trying to say. Until we get a confirmation 100% from Marvel saying yeah they're not going to be here, you never know.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about that. I would really like to see another Defenders series. I think that would be really cool if they could have a street level like series of Defenders and do a
Yeah.
good job at it.
And I think another character that kind of sets up precedence for how you could portray violence in a like a MCU tasteful way is Moon Knight. There's some pretty gory stuff in there to a degree, like the way they kind of sensationalize the violence in there. I think also the way Werewolf by Night kind of handled it was pretty cool as well.
Yep.
But there's different ways, like again, handling it according to how the character uses it. I think is what they're good at. So yeah, I don't have any not have any worries
Oh,
about how he'll be in that.
I just thought of some future stuff. We could get Punisher like tracking down Spider-Man and stuff. Oh.
Yeah, there's a
Oh.
lot of threads crossing here.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Okay, I'm really excited. I'm going to jump past the second story and go to the third because I am very excited about the third,
Okay.
and it's more in my wheelhouse. So we got a trailer, and this is Seth Rogen's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles project. We got a
Yeah.
trailer for that, and you know what? It looks awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it looks like they took it and it sounds like just from the trailer that it's the same origin story, but now it looks like it's as if it happened right now type of thing because they had Twitter, they have Instagram, they have all that kind of you know what I mean? Like the way that they were kind of portraying it in the trailer is it's not like all of a sudden they came out of the sewer fully grown. They're still teenagers
Are actually
and
teenagers, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Not Johnny Knoxville as a teenager.
That's right. Johnny Knoxville was Leonardo.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, they actually feel like teenagers. This is really cool.
Yeah, I really like it. I'm really interested to see. Yeah, obviously I'm going to see the movie. I'm in. I've been a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan since I was a little tiny kid. Love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But yeah, I am all for it. I think just like what DB said, I like the style that they were going with for it.
Very Spider-Verse-esque.
Yeah,
I felt like, yeah, for sure. I dug the look of the trailer for sure. I actually watched it for the first time right before we started recording. But I was just looking at the freaking cast list here. Like, great job just doing 4 new names as the turtles. Like, just get young people to be the turtles that have that vibe. Perfect. But the supporting cast is just names from top to bottom. Splinter is being played by Jackie Chan, which might be one of the best castings I've heard in a long time.
yep,
Seth Rogen and John Cena are Bebop and Rocksteady, which is
yep.
amazing. Hannibal Buress is in there, Genghis Frog, which is a great character name. I still see no mention of Splinter being in this, which I kind of love that. Like you set him up for something later on. Giancarlo Esposito has Baxter Stockman, which is also amazing. You got Ice Cube in here, you got Paul Rudd, Maya Rudolph, Ice Cube or Rose Byrne, Post Malone. Like there, yeah, it's just filled with names from top to bottom. And yeah, I gotta say I'm really excited for this. Seth Rogen is kind of like on a roll with his comic book adaptations lately, from The Boys to Invincible and now TMNT. So, and the not only does the art style have that Spider Verse feel to it, but also like it makes sure that the characters look more faithful to the Kevin Eastman comic books from back in the day. And,
Yeah.
and I love those comic books. Even the more recent run from the IDW comics are amazing. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see them kind of build out this world, and hopefully we can get more and more movies from in here too.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And yeah, sky's the limit on this one. I really I have high hopes.
Mhm.
But anyway, Rico, I don't even know this third story because you added this in. But do you wanna go at it?
Yeah,
a
I'll
little
take
bit?
the reins here.
Okay.
So I think this was all when the kind of the merger stuff happened, or even when the switch from Gunn being led to DC happened. But some stuff got axed in that process. And one of the projects that got axed from HBO Max was J.J. Abrams' Batman show, an animated Batman show. I believe with Bruce Timm, who is one of the original artists of Batman the Animated Series, with Paul Dini, and so they were going to do this new TV show called Batman Cape Crusader. There was even like a cool poster for it and everything. Um, then it was like gone, not going to happen. And now we learned today that it's going to be moving to Amazon. So the series will live on, and it's going to have a new home on Amazon. And I'm a big fan of Bruce Timm's. Anytime Bruce Timm does art for like a DC story, I love it because it always brings me back to watching Batman the Animated Series, Justice League, Superman, those that style, Mask of the Phantasm. So I'm ready to kind of see like that kind of animation get brought back into the forefront for a Batman story, and also to see J.J. Abrams kind of take on the character. So, so when I heard that this show is going to live on through Amazon, I got really excited.
Yeah, I mean, look, Amazon's gonna start getting, both sides of like MCU properties and DC properties now, because we heard about the was it Spider-Man Noir? No,
Oh yeah, yeah, Spider-Man Noir.
that's the one that's going to Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so now we have a Batman project that's going to Amazon, and we have the two other things you were just mentioning, Invincible and The Boys over there. I mean, I know The Boys is an animated. Well, they have the Diabolical one, but yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, they're gonna basically Amazon's just gonna start like raking in different subsets of fans like this.
They're a pretty underrated service as far as their content goes. They got some sleepers on there.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean, Prime comes with the Prime Video comes with Prime membership, so a household is probably going to have Prime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they have that built in right there. But
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I enjoy some stuff from Prime. Obviously, The Boys. Like that's what I'm usually the most excited for with Prime. But yeah, so more power to them. Yeah. So the Bad Batch.
Yeah, let's get let's break into these.
Some things happened. Some stuff happened. Then a plane got stolen. Yeah. So let's go. Look at this, you like pixie dust back to episode 10 when everything was different with the world. So with episode 10, just as a refresher, we get back to it's kind of the second half. We had left off on. Oh wait, aloha Martin, happy Friday,
Martin.
My aunt. Episode 10 is like the back half, the conclusion of where we kind of left off when they were stranded. For like the mission that they took for Sid. Their plane or their ship had been taken, and they didn't know by who. They didn't know how they were going to get off the ship. The last we were left with was Sid basically just saying, "Hey, chill for a couple of days."
Right.
And they're like, "What?" So this was kind of the conclusion episode, and I mean, it wasn't a bad episode at all. Like they kicked some ass and they got their ship back.
Yeah, so there's this kind of underlining side story here of we find out who took their ship. It was this kid named Benny who was kind of working for this other kind of boss who was kind of making people work for him in order to get food. And then of course later on learning he's just hoarding a bunch of food for his own ingestion and just kind of just being an overall piece of shit.
Yeah, just a bad dude in general.
Yeah, classic bad dude. But obviously another character that the Bad Batch comes to interact with and kind of helps them overthrow their boss and hopefully lets them kind of establish some new ways going forward, which is always something that the Bad Batch has always been good at, helping people, free themselves from basically oppression, whether it's from the Empire or other people like this guy. But yeah, like you said, this was kind of the second half of a two-parter that I was hoping would build to something more, and it didn't. So I found it a little bit underwhelming because I just wanted to serve a little bit of a bigger purpose. But I still found it overall enjoyable. There's some good moments in there for sure, and of course the character dynamic between Omega and any of these new characters is always interesting. because again, she's learning things from their perspectives and taking that all in. But yeah, this one kind of wraps it up, and then that's it. Puts a little bow on it, and then we're off onto our next story.
Yeah. And I don't mean to like portray it as if like episode 10 was like a bad episode or anything, but it's just like now looking back and seeing, if I hadn't known, like if we were doing this one by one, then it's one thing. But episode 11 was right up my alley, and that's why I'm like, episode 10. Episode 11, man, was like, it was like almost like a horror movie or a horror episode, I guess.
Mhm.
It was awesome. Like, more of that, please. Like that. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump to episode 11 before. I just wanted to make sure I didn't like say like episode 10 was garbage. I'm way more excited about episode 11. But do you have any more that you wanted to say about episode 10?
No, I was ready to follow up with you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So episode 11, we get, kind of, and I apologize. I'm deep in thought. I'm not playing any of the videos I have here. But basically, we have the opening of episode 11 is kind of, the Bad Batch crew confronting Sid about like, hey, what the fuck? Like, you didn't bother helping us. Like, this is shit. Like,
yeah. Called her on her bullshit, basically.
Yeah, and so it was a very small part of this episode with everything that happens like post this conversation, but it is just kind of chipping away at what was once, like a solid relationship between the Bad Batch crew and Sid, and just like kind of both of us have kind of said like at some point we really think that relationship is going to deteriorate dramatically, and I think this is the beginning of the end between Sid and the Bad Batch, like to the point where they were pretty much willing to like just say fuck it, like we're not going to help you ever again. And was it Hunter or Tech that was like, no, we should go out on a good note to save face, especially because what she knows about us type of thing.
Probably Tech, because he's always looking at things from an analytical point of view.
Yeah. Either way, it was one of them saying that and saying like, look, we can't just tell her to go fuck herself. We've got to like,
she still holds dangerous info about them. That's why she has control over them.
Exactly. Yeah. So this kind of kicks everything off. She wants them to go to a downed ship, a wrecked ship, basically, and grab some cargo that she can, I guess, sell somewhere.
Yeah. An Empire ship that kind of crashed.
Right. Yeah. And then, and that's when it turns into a horror movie. But yeah, we see this, like slashes on the walls and all this, like, the creepy makings of like the beginning of like a horror movie and like a horror show or something like that. And then we get like, little glimpses of it. And it turns out, do you remember the name of the creature?
I do.
Okay.
Zilla Beast.
Zilla Beast? Yeah. It's a creature that basically, feeds on electricity and feeds on like power and grows bigger. The more it can, accumulate, the more powerful it becomes and stuff like that. So it's like kind of, it looks like the size of a dog, basically, or a little bit bigger than like a bigger dog when they first see it. And then it starts getting into the ship's power supply and all of stuff. And so by the end of the episode, it's giant size. But yeah, I mean, there are some pretty, like, let me see what I got. I have this. This is already after it's been feeding on the ship. It's just, I loved this. Like, this was just nice and creepy and just like, I know nothing was really going to happen to the Bad Batch guys, but like at the same time, it was just cool to kind of be in this like, horror scared episode, basically, with this crazy, creature where its skin is impenetrable by their blasters and everything because it's, been genetically modified and all this kind of stuff. Now, do you know the backstory from this? Like why they were doing this?
Yeah, so this creature goes back to the Clone Wars. There's a whole story arc about the Zilla Beast. So it's kind of wanted me to get in my notes. This is going to be my huge takeaway here. But I'll start off by saying that I was really happy to see the story get back into some bigger stories like this one, because this one ties back to some larger Star Wars aspects. And obviously wrapping up this last half of the season, it's important to get into these bigger stories. And overall the Empire's control on the galaxy and the certain ways they control little things, like in this instance, the cloning aspects of it. So, um, Zilla Beast was like this giant kaiju looking creature, like you said, fed on energy and got bigger and bigger as it got more. And there was an episode where they kind of defeat it. I mean, with Obi-Wan and Anakin, all those guys, big Clone Wars episode. They take it down, and then they're ordered to bring it back to Coruscant. And
Mhm.
you know anything about Coruscant? It's a giant city planet with a bunch of electricity and lights and energy for a creature like a Zilla Beast. And of course, shocker, the Zilla Beast gets loose in Coruscant, and they end up having to unfortunately kill it at the end. And I think it's supposed to be the last of its kind at that point. And so
Oh.
what we learn here is essentially that excuse me, sorry. We learn here that the Empire basically cloned a new Zillo beast, which was a huge reveal in and of itself. And then we got to see it in the small stage. And at first, when you see it in the small stage, you don't really know at first. Like, I kind of have it in the back of my head. I'm like, that looks a little familiar. But then as it broke free of the ship and started to feed on more energy, and we saw it in its true form, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like they really brought back the Zillo beast for sure. And it represents the Empire's control on cloning in general, because of course the end of season one, sorry, the destruction of Camino at the Empire's hands, the Tupoka city. It's really they just wanted to destroy the cloning facility so they can have control of all the cloning. They took away the Kaminoans cloning facility, and they're like, no, you're going to come work at our place on Mount Tantus now.
Mhm.
And we're going to talk about Mount Tantus a little bit later. But yeah, so just again showing one of these ways that the Empire is just kind of taking control over these little aspects of the galaxy, like cloning. And we always see the way that cloning has fit into the Empire's plans later on with the Emperor himself. Like, he ends up being cloned in Episode 9, and in Mandalorian, Grogu's being researched for clone purposes by Kamino and Doctor, uh, by the Empire. So the Empire's always had this obsession with cloning in one way or another. Um, Mainly, I would assume for the purposes of keeping the Emperor alive, because the Empire only serves that one person.
Yep.
So I found that to be a really fascinating aspect of it. And then also, of course, bringing in this kind of like alien style storyline with it,
Yeah.
which was perfect. It's a perfect way to bring back this creature, and also a fun little challenge for this crew.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I mean, at a certain point, it almost turns into like a Godzilla movie when
Oh
we
yeah,
get to the point where they're all in the ships and
yeah.
and,
It
and
turns
doing
in
that.
to an alien movie to a kaiju movie.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
perfect.
But yeah, I mean,
Star Wars
I
loves kaiju's, by the way. Like, have you seen how many big creatures they've had in Mandalorian and stuff? Like, no, dude, crazy.
but yeah, I mean, I loved this episode. I just loved, like I said, I knew nothing was really going to happen to the Bad Batch crew. Like, it's not like somebody's going to die
Hmm.
in this particular episode.
Right.
It happened in other episodes, but it would be more meaningful than just getting killed off by a monster. Um, but it was just like that creepy aspect is what I like. Just like you said, an alien-esque episode, even like a kaiju or like Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and it's also an interesting little metaphor how, um, like the Empire not willing to take responsibility for the ship, and they were willing to let that thing go and hurt people, and even kidnap the citizens to keep them from being like, this is what the Empire did. So they're not willing to take accountability for their actions, and then you have the Bad Batch who are willing to do anything to keep that thing from hurting anybody else.
Yeah.
So it shows the representation of the bigger fight. That that's why Echo had to leave when he found out that they were kind of indirectly responsible for that bill that passed in the Senate, and the two-parter with the Emperor. He kind of felt like he had to make amends for that by fighting the bigger fight. That's why he went back to Rex, right?
Yep.
And I even love the end of this episode. I think it was, yeah, the end of this episode when they find out this information about the Zilla Beast, and they're like, we got to get this information to Rex and Echo,
Right. Right.
because this is important stuff. And so, and that brings a little smile to Omega's face at the end too, which is really great. And so again, just kind of assuring that like there's still that communication between those two troops, and it where that them getting that information can play in the future is interesting. But Yeah, I thought this was a really solid episode.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And both of us we were because we both rewatched these episodes, but everything kind of is just like skewed together because I obviously watched all three of these back to back to back
Right.
instead of taking them one at a time.
Yeah.
So there was another like kind of subplot that they keep cutting away to. It's between 11 and 12. I just can't remember if some of it was happening in 11 or if all of it happened in 11 or some of it happened in 12. Where we have this new, I guess he's been referred to as the doctor a couple of
Right.
times, where he's talking to I forget what species. This is the
Kaminoans.
Kaminoans.
Yeah.
We have him talking to this Kaminoan in jail. Like this one has been imprisoned, and then we have another meeting in another like aside from one of the episodes where he's
Mhm.
meeting with another one, and then like this one in particular, this Kaminoan in particular says, "I'll help you, but we need to get someone first."
Right.
And he's referring to a little girl who we can only imagine is Omega.
Yes.
So, I mean, just like you were saying, these are now leading to the bigger, story arc, the bigger season arc.
Yeah. And
In
that's all on
general.
Mount Tantus too. Like we're talking
Right.
about this location. And this location, I think, was introduced at the end of season 1 when they brought the original Kaminoan scientists that worked with Omega to their facility. Like we're going to be very useful to us. And now they have, I think, the former chancellor or whatever he was of
Right.
Camino. Um, so yeah, now that they're starting to manipulate those people, and now we're starting to see those seeds planted for a pretty big finale.
Yeah. And I'm really curious because I mean, and this gets into the next episode, but we even have, this scientist and Crosshair
Mm,
crossing paths in
yeah.
in the next episode. That's why I said everything's getting twisted. I can't remember where some of these cutaway scenes had gone to, basically, because of that. Because I know, some of episode 12 deals with Crosshair and the Doctor, and some of the earlier scenes were in I think 11. Like
Mhm.
it's hard when you watch all three of them together. Um, but yeah, episode 11, great episode. Had a lot of fun with it. Not that I wouldn't rewatch the entire season, but this would definitely be an episode that I'm going to want to rewatch type of thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
'Cause I enjoyed it. But and then we get to episode 12, which is the most recent episode.
Mm,
Just came out this past week.
I love this
Um,
episode.
yeah, this is one of those episodes. And before you get into, I know there's a lot of stuff you want to talk about with this episode, but this is one of those episodes where, and I've said it multiple times in the past, where when you really have a good storyline and you have character development and like real character development, not just like cartoon development type of thing, it makes it almost feel like a live action thing. And this is one of those episodes that I really felt like kind of blurred the lines between like a cartoon and a live action series type of thing because of like how this episode really was. And you really see kind of I don't know if change is the right word, but you really see something different in Crosshair from what we've seen in the past to the end of this episode. You see what the events of this episode have taken, like the toll that it's taken out of Crosshair type of thing.
Oh yeah.
So that to me is like one of those things where it really, for me, it blurs the line between an animated series and a live action series, because you can kind of you can see that kind of emotion. And it's one that, inside, I mean that in the best way possible, because it's like, it really makes you feel it, and it's there. But Rico, what were some of, I guess, your takeaways from episode 12?
This is one of the best episodes of this series, in my opinion. I was listening to Star Wars Explained, and he made a really great reference. He made a reference to the X Files, talking about the smoking man.
Mhm.
And there's this thing where he goes, whenever you saw the smoking man in an episode of the X Files, you knew it was going to be a great episode. And in this case, every time Crosshair is in an episode, I think it's going to be a great episode now. Like he's by far, I think, the most intriguing character in the show right now, at least. And there's some amazing character trajectory or is an amazing character arc for him in this that kind of watches him boil over, right? So uh, it reaches the breaking point, definitely. But I want to talk about the character Mayday a little bit because he's a kind of the antithesis of Crosshair in a way. They have a lot of things in common, of course. They're both someone that was like they both were left alone, like to die basically. Crosshair was left on Camino for a long time. Mayday and his troops have been left here for a lot. They said they've been waiting for 30 days for reinforcements, so they're just kind of been left hanging by the Empire. We see how many of his troops have fallen while waiting, and it's only him and two others left. And even that doesn't last very long because they're immediately attacked and those two die. So
Yep.
that's brutal. um, and on top of that, we're introduced to maybe one of the worst Empire characters of all time in Lieutenant Nolan. And God, I fucking hated this dude. Like it's actually like it's not a low bar to be like a scum in the Empire, but for some, it's a very high bar, and he goes over that bar. Like he is awful. Um, just like no matter what they do, if they do their job, he's not happy. If they fail, if they don't do any, like one specific thing in their job, they fail. Like it's just like complete asshole thing the entire thing. But of course, he sends these two on this mission, and you kind of see these two characters play off of each other. Um, and so you kind of see what Crosshairs is devoted to the Empire. He's devoted to his purpose as a soldier, right? He knows that he's made for this one thing, and Mayday is just kind of like, I'm done. I don't have any loyalty to these guys. Like like fuck you. And he's kind of seeing that, and they kind of develop like a respect, of course. And then of course the cargo that they're sent to retrieve, like that all these people risk their lives for, so that it's just TK armor, which is really like. And I love the way that he kind of spun the line that Crosshair famously says in the show, which is, good soldiers follow orders. But they find that armor and he sits there and he's just like, we were good soldiers. We followed orders. And it was more of like and what was the point? And I think that was the clicking point for Crosshair. Like, what the hell is the point? And then before he could really even process that, a freaking avalanche comes and
Yep.
takes them out. Basically kills Mayday, but he survives up until a point where they still make it to the base, and it seems like they could have helped him. That if the Empire cared at all about the people who work for them, they would have helped him, right? But Lieutenant Nolan goes like, "Nah, you guys didn't get the cargo. You failed your mission." And boy, like if you don't treat your soldiers when they come back to the base, like no, fuck you. You deserve to die. And of course, that's where Crosshair has his breaking point, and he shoots that dude right in the chest and then passes out. And I was like, holy shit! Like that was one of the most tense moments I think I've ever seen in the show. And to see that moment from Crosshairs was huge. Like, where that's going to set up for him going forward, I don't know. He ends the episode in a pretty interesting spot on that lab in Mount Dantis. So, like, yeah, setting the stages for a reunion. It looks like, but in what context? Is it going to be a good reunion? Is it going to be another bad reunion? Yeah, I love this episode.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I mean, like I said, I kind of already said it in the open and everything like that. About like, just being able to see, his breaking point and seeing like actually seeing the emotion in a cartoon series and how incredible that is to be able to make that jump and not be seeing that in a live action type of thing or feeling that like it's as if it's a live action. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, the outcome, like the post of that is very like interesting. I'm very interested to see what happens next. We have, Crosshair waking up kind of on a medical bay or in a medical bay, I guess. And
The
it's
lab.
it's that assistant. I don't know if we ever got a name for her.
Doesn't ring a bell to my right now, but I think
Yeah.
we did. We do have a name, but I can't remember it.
Oh, okay. But yeah, she refers to that the doctor is here and we'll see you soon and
Yep.
stuff like that. But it's the same doctor that, like we said, had happened, earlier. Earlier had just been meeting up with this guy and they're looking for Omega basically. Like he's agreeing to help the doctor if the doctor can find Omega type of thing. So
Right. Yeah, I'm curious what the doctor wants with Crosshair. If he's going to enhance him again, make him similar to that. Remember that assassin clone from the other two-parter that they took out that
Yeah.
I thought was going to be Crosshair. I don't know if they're going to just turn him into another one of those. I don't know why you would need to because he's already kind of badass enough. Um, or if they're just going to use his DNA and I don't know what they're going to do with it. But yeah, I don't understand what they're going to do with them. Like, what more could you do to Crosshair at this point?
Yeah. Well, that's. I mean, I'm wondering if they're going to like. I mean, it's all having to do with cloning. I wonder if they're like trying to figure out, how to make a soldier more loyal, like kind of like Crosshair is, because I mean, even without the chip, Crosshair chose the Empire over his squad. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I did. Another thing I liked in the episode was the idea that when Mayday sees the fallen troops and is like, "We just left us here," or whatever, and Crosshairs talks about the dead weight thing. He goes, "Maybe they don't want to carry back dead weight," and then of course the opposite happens at the end where he carries the dead weight back, and so that there's the other character shift in Crosshair, right? So you're kind of seeing this you're seeing a dehumanized character become human. I think that's kind of what it is. So maybe they're trying to do something where they're just trying to keep him dehumanized because they see that he's starting to turn on them.
Mm.
Maybe they're trying to say like this is a clone we can actually kind of like manipulate through programming still. So maybe we
Yeah.
need to like fix up his programming. Yeah, it's very interesting.
And how many more episodes? I think it's the end of the month, right? So we've got at least 2 or 3 more,
4, I think.
4 more.
13, 14, 15, 16.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think we're gonna get
Oh, but wait, 3 weeks because 1 week's a two-parter. Sorry.
right.
Yeah, sorry. So I was thinking, I was
Yeah.
thinking more 4 weeks, but I was like, no, 3 weeks because of a two-part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it doesn't change anything I was gonna say. Anyway, I agree with you though. I think we're gonna get a reunion of sorts. We don't know what under what condition it's going to be, but I think we're going to get a reunion, and I think it's
Good.
really going to be a turning point for Crosshair. He has to make. I think he's going to have to finally make a decision whether it's
And
going
he's
to
going to
be.
survive that decision.
Yeah,
That's
well,
awesome.
I mean, that's what we might get. Like
I
we
just
might.
feel like I have a trouble seeing him having a happy ending. I guess is the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes the happiest ending we can get is just having him redeemed as a character before he bites it. Basically, that's kind of the most you can ask for in certain cases.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
but yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't want to say we're done because I enjoyed talking about these episodes, but
I know. Yeah, we strayed away from the traditional format, so we kind of breezed through it a little bit, but I think it worked out better because we were able to talk about little things here and there. I was trying to think of a little thing. I think it was the beginning of the Zilla Beast episode, the way that they took out the other. I like those like clone trooper helmets that had like the lights on the other side of it. I was like, that was kind of a cool design. And I remember that first episode or the beginning of that episode where like he's kind of like running through. That's where it felt like a horror movie because they
right.
all get taken out, right? So I kind of enjoyed that. I like the little aesthetic stuff that they're throwing in there from time to time.
What was frustrating was if I mean, obviously you have to know like that this thing can I guess absorb like electricity and stuff. And they were using those electrical batons type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when the Bad Batch crew actually finds it, it's like eating one of those batons. Like as a snack.
So I think it has
like,
to ingest it.
Yeah, but like why did those guards why were the guards using those? Like all those guards, all of those troopers had those. That makes no sense to me. You would think they would be using something different.
It's the Empire, man.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like
It'll buff out. It'll buff.
but yeah, I mean, I feel like we finished so early, but just I guess we're easing back into it. Next week we have a slate of brand new movie news and TV news and stuff like that. So we'll have like our full hour of the show this week. Go a little lighter, play a little catch up, go a little lighter.
Yeah. Your boy's low on energy this week too.
Exactly. So last thing I'll say before we say goodbye for today and say have a great weekend is Fortnite update.
It's out. New
Your initial
season.
your new
Yeah, that could be our last thing.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I got to play one one round. But
Yeah.
you got to play a little bit too. What are you thinking so far?
I like the new weapons. I like the new augments. I played like dog shit today, so it's hard to really give a proper assessment. I did better once I hopped on in some duos with a friend of mine. But man, I was just getting wrecked in solo. I think it's really hard for me to take in new areas and then
Yeah.
also stay alert with enemies. And there's some of these areas are pretty busy. Mega City is just new tilted towers basically, so I will be staying as far away from that as I possibly can. But there are some pretty cool like Japanese themes, like samurai, I think feudal Japan, I would say, is theme areas, which I really, really cool like, I'm a big samurai guy in general, but um yeah, I think adding new aesthetics to the map is always great. And the new vehicles look cool. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, and I mean I literally got one game in before I had to do work today. And I tried to start as slow as possible. I knew I was only going to have a short period of time before I started work today. Um, so I landed where we normally land, and I just tried to concentrate on hopefully seeing some new augments and trying to pick up some like as many different guns as I could possibly find. I like that the Cobra DMR is back. I like
Yeah, snipers are back, and I'm happy about that. I'm a happy boy.
I know I had an AR, and I think it was a suppressed AR.
Yep,
It
the
was
Havoc suppressed AR and the
yeah,
Havoc pump shotgun.
right. I picked up that shotgun, but like I said, I didn't get to use it yet. I didn't get to try any new vehicles. I did try a couple of different augments. I think one was when you slide. Every time you slide,
Get
you get
ammo.
ammo. I
Yep,
like that one a
I need
lot.
that one in my life.
Oh, I like that one so much.
Yeah.
Another one is where your medium ammo, like your
Yeah, they added
turns
they switched up
bigger.
the capacities.
Right,
It used to be
right,
small ammo, I think, and now it's the medium ammo is getting the shine this season.
right.
Um,
Which I'm all
yeah,
for. So
like last season, like every chance to find a chug splash, they changed that to a slap juice,
yep.
and then there was another good one I liked too. Uh, but yeah, there's some actually pretty solid ones in there.
And even the battle pass, like the skins for the battle pass are pretty awesome. Like the very first one was kind of one of the ones in the preview that I was looking forward to hopefully working my way towards. And the
Yeah,
base version of that is the very first one. I do want the lizard guy in the red leather coat.
sushi lizard looks cool.
Sushi lizard's cool, but the one that's in like the I guess I don't know if it's a leather coat, but the red coat, that one, I
Yeah,
like him.
the
He's
base
cool.
one. Yeah, that
Yeah,
one looks cool.
he's cool.
I don't watch Attack on Titan, so the Eren Yeager skin doesn't really mean anything to me.
Same.
So, but anime skins look cool in the game too, so I don't mind that all too much. But yeah, I think there's gonna be some fun times I had this season for sure, and always gonna be more updates and stuff like that. So the stuff
Yeah.
they're gonna add on top of this is gonna be interesting.
Did you get a chance to pick up one of the swords? Because I
Yeah,
from what I heard, that's
it's fun.
just it's more like the hammer, where a lot of people are going to be using that for mobility, not so much for fighting.
No, I think it's gonna be fairly used for fighting.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, because for
I didn't
the
see it much used for mobility when I was playing. I saw a lot of people going ham with it.
oh, Martin said we should be watching Attack on Titan. It's
Oh
a very good
yeah?
anime.
Okay.
Maybe we'll do a retro recap.
I anime it's always been tough. I need the right gateway series to get me into anime. Even though I like some anime, but it's a very niche thing. I watched One Punch Man. That was pretty cool, but uh other than that, yeah, I need to find something that's like super good.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched anime here and there. I can't consider myself like knowledgeable on
Yeah.
like what's good to watch and what's not. I mean, I haven't like hated anything that like past roommates have put on.
Yeah. You hear about like some of these like gnarly ones, and then they go like Hunter x Hunter or One Piece, something like that, and they go, "Oh yeah, you should watch it." And you look, and it's like 70,000 episodes, and you're like, "What am I supposed to do with all my time here?" I never could get into Dragon Ball because I never knew where to start.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like that's the whole thing. And I think they're all on their own streaming thing, and I'm like, I don't want to sign up for something else.
Yeah, you know what got me, and I can't even say I'm into Dragon Ball. Is it was DBZ like unabridged or something, and that's where they just kind of made it into a comedy. And I was like, this is amazing.
Naruto is the best anime in my opinion. You know, my 8-year-olds in my class say the same thing. So maybe maybe I should really listen. All I saw were kids wearing that headband in high school, so it must hold up. It must hold up after all these years if they like it.
But anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What animes should we check out?
Sorry, Martin. That felt slightly toxic.
We mean no harm by that. Anime is a subject that we just neither one of us really understand. So, you know what? Maybe comment below. Maybe we'll put up a poll, and maybe, you know what? One of our retro recaps will be following 10 episodes of an anime series.
Yeah. I mean, Pokemon counts, right? I did Pokemon.
I mean, if Pokemon counts, then we're both experts on anime at that point, I guess.
I mean, Gen 1. Everything else is trash.
All right. On that note, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What's your favorite Pokemon and why? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on notifications to hear about all of our audio and video podcast releases. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. There's so much stuff that we're going to recap. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.